was gonna say I kind of want to dick you.
What?
I kind of want to dick you.
Oh.
That's what I was gonna say.
No, you weren't gonna say that.
I said, let's make a porno.
Don't do that.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, don't say that.
Oh. Didn't say much. It was all in the action. You can't figure out that. I'm either riding a horse or riding something else, you know what I'm saying?
Hi everyone, my name is Terry and this is...
Hi, I'm Dennis.
And welcome to our channel. We are talking about Dennis's early signs with early onset Alzheimer's. For those of you who don't know, Dennis was diagnosed with a rare Alzheimer's. It's called Posterior Cortical Atrophy, also known as visual variant Alzheimer's, also known as Benson's syndrome. So we wanted to come on and talk about some of the early signs that Dennis has noticed prior to getting diagnosed. So for visual variant Alzheimer's, it affects the memory, the vision, and math skills, reading skills, and I think that's pretty much it. So we'll just talk a little bit about the stuff that we noticed before searching for answers. So Dennis is a woodworker by trade, and he works in the wood shop, and a lot of that is dealing with numbers and measurements and stuff like that. So that's one of the first signs that we notice because we work from home. Dennis works in the garage. He builds things, and he noticed the measurements, and also that it was hard for him to see in the garage. So why don't you...
So since then I've got glasses, which have helped, but with that being said, I also went to Terry 6 months after and said I don't think I got the right prescription. Just not knowing what was going on at that point, it was like, oh, I gotta get new glasses.
Yeah, we just went and saw the eye doctor maybe 6 months ago, and recently he said that he can't see anymore. Well,
yeah,
he can see, it's hard for him to see. And even with the remote, holding the remote control, sometimes he holds it backwards. Sometimes, like, we have to flip it around, or he'll get frustrated with the remote because he can't see the buttons. And so we're working through that. We're going to try to figure out a way on just to make things easier for him so that he's not as frustrated with what's going on. One of the things that I noticed, I guess I should say that for those of you who don't know, Dennis does have ADHD as well. So looking back, I thought maybe that part of his memory was part of the ADHD, not being able to comprehend or remember, or how do you say that, like process?
I'm just trying to comprehend what you're talking about. I was busy doing that.
Yeah, la la la. You're like in your own little world.
So with no idea, I came up with ideas like, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So without knowing what was going on with me, my initial thoughts were the concussions and whatnot that I've taken over the years in construction, with fighting. I did a lot of fighting growing up, and just accidents that I've had over the years. I thought maybe that it would...
You thought that was the cause of you forgetting things.
Yeah, and there would be real good reason to believe that, the way I grew up, but that wasn't the case. So.
Also, we thought, like Dennis thought too, that if you've seen part of his journey on our last video, that he mentioned that he did have alcoholism, and that could have played a factor in his memory loss as well. So those were some of the things that we were thinking it could be. And Dennis didn't really, like you said to me before, you didn't really want to make a big deal out of it. Or how did you say that?
Well, just that I was kind of brought up not to cry over spilt milk. And so in noticing these things, I just kind of brushed them off a little bit as being like, just maybe my memory's going a little bit,
like due to age or something.
Yeah, and so, but when you're working with numbers all the time, and I could see like quite a difference or a degradation. Is that a word? What word am I looking for?
You noticed, I guess, maybe a change in.
One of the problems here is I can't keep a straight thought in my head, so bear with us. I apologize. Not really my fault, but that makes it tough to do these, and there is a couple cuts here and there that are made.
Couple, more than a couple.
couple every minute. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we're trying, and so like with what I've got, I've forgotten what I'm supposed to talk to you guys about at this moment, and that's just the way that's the way it's going. And another point I want to say is like, even at the start of it, we knew there was something wrong, but I just didn't really. I just thought it was a bump in the head. Sort of deal.
Or not enough sleep, or anything like that. I want to mention too that in doing these videos, we make notes on what we're going to talk about. And we, like Dennis said, we do make a lot of cuts just so that the video flows. But the very first video that we did, I made some notes, and I thought they would have been helpful for Dennis, but he wasn't able to understand that. I even highlighted it, but Dennis, with his vision, needs it to be written out in larger letters, and just so that he's able to see and pay attention to what he's going to be saying next. So if you see him looking down as well, he has notes in front of him.
Yeah, and then to concentrate on that note long enough to read it, might as well be just freeballing it, because it's just a pain in the butt for me. One thing I've always been able to do is talk. Now I'm always just kind of reaching for the next word, sort of thing.
Yeah, coming up with words is another thing. And one of the things that I noticed after Dennis told me that he has issues with, or that he's been having issues remembering things, was Dennis eats ice cream. A little bit, yeah. And a couple of times I've noticed that the ice cream is placed in the fridge rather than the freezer, and all his ice cream gets softened.
We don't want that.
No, ice cream needs to be ice cream.
Good point.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other things.
I was thinking about saying something, if I may.
Absolutely.
You are looking mighty sexy, girl. I mean, she's looking good. And I gotta bring this up. And I've been thinking about things too, but she won't let me talk about that sort of thing on here, which is, I don't know. To me, it's no big deal. But I've been, I'll leave it at that.
You're looking mighty fine as well.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I blushed.
After his diagnosis, we've been trying to understand the Alzheimer's that Dennis has. Like, we've done a little bit of research, we watched some videos, and we're starting to pay attention to the type of symptoms that might happen for him, and creating ways on how to now deal with that. after the initial shock and after dealing with the news of Dennis being newly diagnosed, we wanted to change our thinking around a bit and just focus on more positive things. So we watched some positive videos and just read some positive stories about people with the type of Alzheimer's that Dennis has. And so that's what we've been doing the last few days, is just trying to be positive in dealing with Dennis's diagnosis.
Yeah.
So we did watch a video with this older lady. She does have the Alzheimer's, and she was a minister, and she's still able to do sermons. She's 15 years into her diagnosis. So that's the kind of stuff that we wanted to hang on to. And I don't know if you
that was big for me. That was seeing that, and especially with the lady. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, just had to plug in the mic.
So anyway, yeah, seeing that video made a big difference in my thoughts, and they had talked about the power of the power of positivity, and it kind of makes sense. You know, they say that there's an attraction to that when you're talking to someone, you know, and in keeping our heads in the right place. That's probably the way to fly, you know. That we are still just really enjoying our family and having fun, and other than behind the camera here, like, we don't spend all day talking about it or anything like that. It's just, that's just something I got.
And you've reached out to people. I think that's important too, is just building a community of positive people. We did recently put the post on Facebook. We let people know that Dennis has this Alzheimer's, and he's had people reach out to him, and he's talked to people that he hasn't talked to in a long time. And I think that's important in maintaining your sanity, I think, and dealing with all of this, because it's not something that you expect to happen at such a young age. It's more you live your life to the end of time, and then you get Alzheimer's, not when you have a 1 and 3 year old daughter, newly sober, new life and stuff like that. So I think it's important to have those positive relationships and a positive mind too. I don't know if we mentioned, but Dennis did see a psychologist as well, and I saw a psychologist, we are continuing to see. We'll probably continue to see. A little crazy over here. So, and we've had people reach out with information on what they think is helpful. Like somebody mentioned the diet as well, and also juicing, making juices, and somebody reached out and mentioned a online pastor, I think it is, or a minister with positive sermons that we could listen to, and I think that's really helpful. And I don't know if you want me to mention anything about you wanting to check out a meeting or anything like that.
Yeah, there's been thoughts about, because we're both ex-Alkies, that because we haven't been going to meetings, and Terry does them online every once in a while, but for me, I kind of did that for a bit, and then I just didn't. I think with all the goodness in my life, I found that it really wasn't necessary, and there's been some hard times, and so with being an alcoholic for that many years, it tries to pop back into your head every once in a while, but that's all it's ever done for me. And with this coming up, I'm not saying that I want to go out and run out and get hammered.
It's just another positive
Yeah.
thing to do for yourself.
Yeah. The one thing that's like, sometimes you're asked to share at these meetings, and I'm kind of like, I don't like everybody knowing my business, so um, it would be hard to talk about things, from an alcohol perspective, just being that I really haven't been thinking about it. Like, I mean, just got a new family, and Terry and I, like, there was some parts at the start of our relationship that wasn't great, but I mean, it wasn't terrible either, and we figured it out, and now, like, I'm just happy, even with this going on daily, I'm a happy person. Like, I'm not sitting there tearing up or anything like that.
At the beginning, you were with finding this out.
I was under the impression that that when I saw what happens to a person with the aggression and the anger, that after a while that it happens,
that it was going to affect our girls.
I was worried about yelling. That was the biggest thing, is I was worried about yelling and screaming, not in my control, but and scaring them. And the thing is that they're Terry and those girls they're my world. So my thoughts were to, if I'm going to be remembered by my kids like that, then that's not what I'm after. I mean, that would just break my heart.
And I think during that time when you were thinking that that's what was going to happen, he did mention, like, in the garage, or he came in and he was upset, and he mentioned that, what can I do? Like, I can't go out and drink. I can't. That would have been his initial reaction, would be to go out and get drunk. But now that sobriety is part of our life, that's just not an option anymore for him. So these videos and stuff like that, and just being on a positive, having a positive mind, I think that's just what's going to help.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an option with that either. Like, there's going to be days where it's going to be sad, but
yeah,
you just deal with it.
That's what we do.
Do what you gotta do.
I'm thinking about the hoochie coochie still. I'm just saying, just in case you forgot.
How could I forget?
What, are you making fun of me?
No.
She's always doing this. Like, this is pick on Dennis year.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think we're just gonna start paying attention to the signs now that he's gonna be having, or possibly having, and just finding ways on how to adapt to the new normal for us. And part of that is just getting rid of the frustration that comes with Dennis's vision and not being able to see and not being able to remember, and just eliminating that, just so that this stage in his life is easier, and so it's not as difficult that it could be if you didn't have your glasses or
I was going to bring up one other thing.
What's that?
Is it okay if I talk?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I was shit, what was it? Another thing that I noticed in my wood shop was that I was losing numbers. Obviously, I would walk to 3 feet from my bench to my chop saw with a number in my head, and it was gone. And if I was any further than that, I had to start kind of telling myself the number in my head over and over again, or out loud. And I guess I just didn't notice that that aggression, like, as far as losing my memory. I just didn't see that as being. I just thought that I was getting older.
And also, when we went to go meet some friends, Dennis has known, like, my friends for a few years, and their husbands. So remembering their names, we just recently went out for dinner with them in December. not recently, but a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And the way you remembered Daryl's name is you were my other brother Daryl, and my other brother Daryl. You're repeating to yourself that's
It's kind of embarrassing, like when you can't remember someone's name. I mean, I think I'll always remember Terry's name because it's used so often. Terry! Hey, Terry! But like, yeah, honestly, like I will probably, I don't think that that's gonna go, or it hasn't even been like something that I've had to think about. But people that maybe I don't see
very often,
yeah.
even like my sister's partners, like sometimes you forget their names.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what other things do you forget?
I don't know. I forget what I've forgotten. It's true.
Well, write things down, goddammit.
Well, give me better glasses then. You know?
We'll work on
Can't
that.
see shit. What the hell's a writing gonna do?
I don't know.
We're pretty much screwed. We're pretty much screwed here. But we're still smiling. And,
yeah.
And we appreciate you guys, anyone that's watching. And sayonara. Sucker.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.
Like, you gotta like this.
Yeah.
And guess what? I'm gonna give me some Uji.